In this video, I will be showing you how to change your trailing link bushings on a Case IH Patriot Sprayer. The way to check to see if your trailing link bushings are going out, you're going to need to jack up the sprayer. Once you have the sprayer tire off the ground, you're then going to take a long pry bar, slide the pry bar underneath the tire. You're going to lift up and down on the pry bar. As you're prying up and down, you're going to have somebody watch to see if there's any movement independently this direction up and down of these two here. If you determine there's movement, it's time to replace the bushing and the pin. Very first thing we're going to do is remove the tire. Now that the tire's off, we're going to remove these two hose clamps. We're then going to loosen these 4 bolts. We're going to pull this hose out of the way and then tighten this back up. We are now going to remove this cover plate here. There's one on this side and there's one on the other side. From factory, these get kind of painted over, so they're stuck together. So you just got to take a pry bar and pry it to break that paint apart. After you have both cover plates off, we're going to remove this bolt. This bolt holds the pin in there from spinning. Before you take the pin out, we're going to take a jack to release the spring pressure, and then we're going to remove these 2 nuts to release the spring tension. I like to leave 1 nut on there just to keep it tight, just so it doesn't drop down. You're then going to want to use a come along to support the front of it. So when you pull this pin out, this front doesn't fall down. Now we're going to drive the pin this direction out. I'm replacing this pin, so I'm not worried about damaging the pin. So I'm going to use an air hammer to get started. To show you the reason for replacing these bushings, is this is starting to wear here. On this side, it'll wear on the bottom side. On the other side, it'll wear on the top side. This is a bushing that's a lot more worn out. You can see how it rubbed into the copper there. The reason to do preventable maintenance on these is because it's easier to do it now before it wears through the whole bushing. If it wears through the whole bushing, it'll wear into the housing, and then you got to fix the housing and get it machined. Now that the pin is out, I'm going to lower the come along down, get this lower than this point so that I can drive out the bushings. There are 2 shims on both sides. They will fall out as you're lowering it down. There is a seal on both sides. The seal will pop out as you're pushing the bushing through. I'm going to use a bearing removal tool. Set it in here and tap this bushing out. Now that the bushings are out, we're going to clean the surface inside of here as well as here. After you have everything cleaned up, we're going to put grease inside this bore here. And then we're going to push our bushings into place. The last thing you'll do is put your seals in on this side. Now we're going to install the bushing. Squeeze the bushing, get it started. Take a soft rubber mallet. Get it nice and centered and straight. Take our socket. You want something that just goes around the outside edge. You don't want to mar this inside here. When you go to put your seal in, you want your lip to be facing this direction. You do not want the flat surface to be on this side. You want the flat on this way. The reason for that is if you put it this way, when you go to grease, it's going to push the seal out and then you're going to lose your seal. You want the grease to actually go past and bust through this, and you're basically keeping the dirt out and letting the grease be able to push past. Drive the seal in until it's flush. Once you have both bushings in and your seals, we're going to pump it full of grease. Get the bushings all greased up. Now we're ready to lift this up into place. Make sure to put your shims back in between these 2 spots here. Slide your shims in. With your shims in place and both of these lined up, take your new pin. Make sure this notch lines up with this hole. You don't want to force it. Once you get your pin in, we're going to put our bolt in there. We're going to put the covers on both sides. There is gaskets that you can put on these. So now we're going to take our seal, cover, put it into place, bolt it back on. We're going to loosen these 4 bolts, spin the hydraulic line over, re-bolt it back to this plate. jack the jack back up, and then we're gonna put our nuts back on to hold the spring pressure. At this point, you can go ahead and put your tire back on. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.